And I have to ask the question, why did Jesus did he have to do this? There's no law in the Old Testament that said he had to go into the wilderness and starve himself half to death and then get into a battle with Satan. He didn't do it to observe some special law. There's no command that says fast for 40 days. Jesus seems to do this under the leading of the Holy Spirit, not because of the law. But I think he does this for two basic reasons. A personal reason, because he's going to do a spiritual battle against the supreme spiritual force of the world that's not God, the supreme force of evil, and do a battle for the kingdom. I think also that Jesus wanted to leave no doubt in your mind, in my mind, that he's tempted in every single way that you've been tempted and every single way that I've been tempted. And so he made himself as weak as he could make himself, humanly speaking, and then climbed in the ring with the worst of the worst. There could be no greater or lesser or worse or more eviler than Satan himself. And he wants to remove any doubt from you and me that he knows what the dark night of the soul is all about. You see, he didn't begin being tempted by the devil on day 40. He began being tempted by the devil on day 1. And he starved himself for 40 days and 40 nights until he got to the crescendo, until he got to death's door, and then Satan brought the worst. And now, I don't know about you, but I don't make the best decisions when I'm really hungry. I have a rule. Even ask my wife. We were in a church meeting one time, and we were getting ready for VBS, and we'd been at a school setting up all day long, and we were starving. Everybody hadn't eaten, taken a break, nothing. And it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and we were exhausted. I said, you know what, I have a rule. Don't ever make major decisions when you're hungry or tired, and we're both, let's go get something to eat. Right? It's just a bad idea. I find that I get really depressed and really despondent about myself and my life when I'm really hungry and it's late at night, and I'm just like, oh, woe is me, everything's wrong. You know, I feel like Stuart Smalley in one of those stupid Saturday Night Live things. You know, I'm middle-aged, I'm overweight, and nobody loves me. You know, don't you feel that way? You got to go down to the Cracker Barrel and get you some mashed potatoes and some chicken fried chicken. Feel a lot better. That's why you get overweight, is because you need all that comfort, right? That's another sermon for another time. I'll let Frank preach that one about gluttony. Okay, here we go. But it was a kingdom battle, and I have a theory about what Satan is up to in the Bible right from the very beginning. See, because Satan was in heaven, and he was in perfection and bliss and all the rest of that, and he didn't like it, so he wanted to take over. He wanted to dethrone God. Well, he failed at that, so God kicked him out of heaven with a third of the angels, and he came to earth. And they call that sedition, by the way, when you want to kick the ruler off the throne and take over yourself. It's a coup d'etat. Well, he tried it a second time in the Garden of Eden, and his purposes were to put himself in a position above man and women. By the way, he was not above Adam and Eve. They were above him in the order of the world. And he failed at that. And instead of him putting himself over the man and the woman, and instead of him putting enmity between God and man, God put enmity between man and Satan. Okay, so now here comes the Son of God, the King of the universe, the Messiah, the chosen one of God, and he sees another opportunity to do the same thing. Sedition. Take the kingdom away from the prince. That's what this is about. It's a kingdom battle. And even though it's only 1 and 1, Jesus is representing a whole lot more than one person. It is deeply personal and deeply felt. But Jesus is not just there to do a personal battle. He's there to do a personal battle for the kingdom. The best they got and the best we've got did a battle. And Jesus was prepared for that battle. Okay, now here's my props to the Marines and to Sterling. There's this great thing at the end of recruits training in the Marine Corps. When they're at Parris Island, they call it the Crucible. Now, crucible is what you put metal into to melt it and cast it into something else. It's a hot pot, right? But it's also a metaphor for like being thrown into the fiery furnace or being under extreme pressure. So a recruit, at the end of their training to become a Marine, before they can be called a Marine, before they receive their commission or their stripes or their pins or whatever Marines get, they have to go through this crucible. And the crucible is 54 hours of testing. 54. Okay, and during that 54 hours of testing, they go on 30 miles of forced marches. They go through 30 different stations where they are tested. Obstacles or different kinds of tests that they have to do. And they're only allowed to sleep, I think, like 6 hours in 2-hour blocks. So over 54 hours, they're only allowed to sleep 6, 2 hours at a time, and they march 30 miles. They get very little to eat, and they are put to the test. But they do that because they want you to know, they want me to know, and they want the world to know that if you're wearing green and you land on a foreign beach and you're holding a rifle, if you're the enemy, you better watch out because there isn't any better than those guys. If you are a Marine, you carry some respect because you're prepared for battle. What kind of Messiah was Jesus? He was uncool, but man, he was prepared. He was prepared by the Holy Spirit. Are you?